Hi guys! So it's the most wonderful day in the Hobonichi Addict's entire year. The new lineup has just been released. So I am going to go through the 2021 release with you and discuss it in great detail. There's a lot of really cool stuff in this lineup, so I won't be able to go through everything, but I'll try to focus on a lot of the different types of covers and talk about my particular favorites, the ones that are definitely going on my wish list. So we'll start with the A6s and then move on to the cousins and the weeks and the 5-year techos and finally the accessories. So first of all, we have the colors lineup, which is never a particular favorite of mine. I would say this year the one I like the best is this blue pistachio, just because I like greens and blues, but it didn't particularly grab me. So that is not going to be going on my wish list, which is fortunate because there are already so many things on it that I would really be in trouble. Moving on, the next cover that kind of struck me is this one, and that's because this Ryoji Arai series seems to be quite popular, and I feel like there are some really beloved and classic covers that have been made by this author, like for example the 2014 Donkey cover. And I think this one it's just not my style. Like, I've never been drawn to any of these, but I kind of wanted to mention it because I think that this is probably going to be quite a popular one if previous years are anything to go by. Then we move into some that are kind of more my style. So the Shantan Arrival cover I think is quite interesting. It reminds me of a sort of like fantastical cityscape. I wasn't familiar with Shantan's work as an author illustrator, and this seems to be based on quite an interesting wordless graphic novel about immigration, which I think is a really cool concept, this like sort of, alien fantasy like city. And I like the aesthetic of it, but I'm not going to add this to my shopping basket because I feel like there's something a bit melancholy about it, which I think is perhaps intended, but I just felt like it would make me a little bit sad. But I do think it's a nice design. Then we get to this series, which doesn't really interest me as a techo cover, but there is a coordinating handkerchief set that I really like. So I'll show you that when we get to the accessories. I like the bright colors, but I'm not too keen on the impressionistic style or on the gray for this particular design. Then we get to my first absolute favorite, An Enemy Blocked My Way from the Mother series. So I have recently started playing the Mother 2 game, just because I am such a Hobonichi fan that I kind of wanted to get more into that aspect of the aesthetic. And I really enjoy it. So it's kind of cool to start meeting some of these characters that I've known from the techo covers for many years now. And I think that this one is just awesome. I love the range of characters. It's all of the bad guys from the Mother 2 game. And the one that I've actually come across in playing the game so far, because I'm near the beginning, is the Spiteful Crow. They all have really cool names. So I just love everything about it. I like the pink and the purple and the teal, and I think it's just a really great design. And you can see here it has a list of all of these awesome enemies with really wacky names like Electro Spectre and Coil Snake and Chompasaur. So I think it's just really cool, and I am absolutely going to be putting that in my basket. Then I also really like this Saturn ladder cover, again from the Mother series. And for the first time, they have brought out a Mother cover for the A5 as well, and it's this design. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to get this in the A5 or the A6, but I'm definitely going to get one of them. I just think it's so bright and happy, and I like the red and the white speech bubbles and all of the Mr. Saturn standing on top of each other. I think it's just really cute. And you also get some stickers with these Mother covers. First of all, by the way, I just wanted to point out that you can see that the Mr. Saturns are like made in this kind of plush furry fabric, but the rest of the cover isn't. So it sort of like stands out and is textured. And I think that's really cool. And then here are the stickers. So you get 2 sheets of those. And I really like that as well. So that's definitely going on my list. Then the manga covers didn't really draw me that much. I think maybe because I'm not a particular fan of any of these manga or anime series. I have seen some of the anime of Ranma 1/2. And I like this design. So I kind of am like sort of half considering this, but I think probably not because it's not like my absolute top tier of favorites. But I do like the way that the characters are all like kind of in these check boxes as if it's a sort of like big grid, like a giant building, you know, like a kind of skyscraper or something, and each one is in a different window. I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm not really sure. It's not my absolute favorite, and I have enough absolute favorites that I think that I will probably need an overdraft as it is. So yeah. Then the next one that I really like is this Liberty Fabrics Lockwood. I have never had a Liberty Fabrics design from Hobonichi before, but this one just really struck me. I feel like it's something like, it's a combination of the very clear mint background, the really detailed, naturalistic looking flowers, and the range of colors that kind of drew me to it. And I also like the green inside. So I'll just show you some of the close-ups here because I think you can really see how beautiful the craftsmanship on this is when you see it up close. So that has kind of really struck me, and I think it's very elegant, which is not often my style. I usually like the more like, you know, kind of like fun, silly, cartoony covers, but I really like that one. Then the next one that I really like is this Mina Perrhonen Minamo cover. And when I first saw it last night at 3 a.m., I was like, eh, it looked like a kind of checked pattern to me, which is not something I'm usually into. But then I read the description, and Hobonichi is really good at doing this. They will give you a cover that maybe at first glance you're like, I'm not sure about that. And then you see the description and then you're like, oh my God, that is the most amazing cover ever. And that's what they've done here. So listen to this. Minamo expresses the leaves and branches that reflect on the lake inside a forest, the flowers that bloom close by, and the comforting wind, using lines in 4 colors that stretch across and intersect with one another. The lines drawn in watercolor continue on freely. When I read that, I was just like, oh, I can see the lake and the flowers and the forest. And I was just taken with it. So it also says the fabric has a sophisticated sheen and is smooth to the touch. The material also allows for the gradation in color smudges and the overlapping of colors unique to watercolor to be enhanced to its full potential. So it has these little lace bookmarks as well, and the inside is faux leather, which I was happy about because some of the Mina Perrhonen line has leather interiors or zippers, but this one doesn't, so that's good news. So yeah, I really like this one because now that I've read that description, every time I look at it, I'm just immediately transported to this magical forest lake realm with beautiful blooming flowers and leaves floating on the surface of the water. And I'm just like, ah, so happy. It makes me feel really calm and tranquil, which I think is the intent. So yeah, that's definitely going on my list. But again, this one comes in A5 as well, so I'm not sure whether to get the A5 or the A6. Now this one I was disappointed in because I really like this design, but the zip pull is leather, so that's a bummer. Then we have some continued designs from last year, and one that I am now quite taken with that I didn't really register last year is this Mr. Saturn cover, which shows Mr. Saturn in different like kind of settings on the front and the back. And I think that this is really cool because it's the Mr. Saturn ladder. So it foreshadows the new Mr. Saturn ladder cover that we have this year, and it's faux leather. So I think that that's really cool. And so I think that that will be going on my list, even though it actually was already available last year. I just didn't somehow register it. Then we have the day free covers. And I think that these ones are quite a nice addition, although I wish that they would make some more colorful ones. Maybe they will next year, you know, if they see how popular it is. I don't actually have a day free cover, but I really like this blue one because the design is a little bit different from the standard Hobonichi covers in that it only has one bookmark, and also the pen loops are smaller. So I think Hobonichi is really famous for its giant pen loops, and I kind of like how understated these ones are in comparison to the standard ones, which are kind of a little bit cartoonish. And I think that's some of their appeal, but it's sort of nice to have these small, elegant looking ones. And I really like the minimalist look of the inside and this one smiley pocket. The A5 version has 2 smiley pockets, which I think is also nice. And I just like the combination of the blue and the white. So this is not something that I have in mind to buy right away because I don't have a day free. And I think that it's slimmer, so I'm assuming that it won't fit the standard Hobonichi covers, the standard Hobonichis, although it might fit the Avec. I'm not sure about that, but I would assume so because it's a bit thinner than the full year book. So I'm also going to be getting one of these, as I have done every year for the past couple of years, because I use this as my daily journal. And then moving on to the cousins. So usually there are a lot fewer cousin covers than there are A6 covers, and so I generally don't find as many that I'm that keen on, and that is no exception this year. So I'm not really a fan of any of these basic colors covers, although, like I said, I'm not usually anyway for the A6 either. I kind of like the outside of this turquoise, but I don't really like the inside color, and like this wouldn't be high on my list to buy anyway because, like I said, there's so many other things that are on my list. But if I had to choose a favorite from among them, it would be that. Then, like, again, I don't really like this design that much, maybe partly because of the gray, but I do really like the associated handkerchiefs. So I'll show you those in a minute. What I do really like, as I've already mentioned, is the Mr. Saturn ladder. So I'm kind of torn about whether to buy that in the A5 or the A6. And I'm not like super keen on this one either. It looks to me somehow a little bit more cartoonish than the A6 version does. At first glance, I was sort of intrigued, but yeah, I just don't really find myself drawn to this one so much. It's from a design from the 30s, but I think maybe it's the colors or something. It just doesn't speak to me in the way that the Lockwood does. Then, like I mentioned, I really like the Minamo, so I'm considering maybe getting this in the A5. But I use my A5 as my work planner, and so I somehow feel like I want it to have a little bit more of a serious vibe, which is silly because it's not like anyone from my work would care. And also I'm working from home at the moment anyway, so it's really only me that sees it. But somehow in my head, I like to reserve the like kind of really wacky ones for the sort of like more playful ones for the A6. So yeah, again, I like this one, but sadly it has a leather zip pull. And then we have some of the designs that are continued from last year. And now we move on to the day free, which I'll just show you briefly so you can see what I mean about the smiley pocket on the inside. I think that's just really pleasing. And also it seems to me that it doesn't have the outside pocket, which the standard A5s and A6s do in this kind of like basic nylon design. And I much prefer it without the outside pocket because I never use that. So yeah, I think that's really nice if you have a thinner notebook. And now this is where the real dilemma begins. The weeks. Oh my goodness, I am in serious trouble here. I have the planner dilemma of all planner dilemmas. I think that this is the biggest Hobonichi dilemma I have ever had in my whole history of Hobonichi life. So sometimes I have bought these plain cloth, like solid color covers for the weeks. But this year I want to go for something like kind of really fun and colorful. This is my favorite of the solid color designs. I think that this is quite a nice one. but I cannot let this distract me because I have this huge week's dilemma. So these all feel a little bit serious for me. I'm not really drawn to any of these colors, but this is where it gets really exciting. So this is my first love. Oh my goodness. So I've actually wanted to have a bow and tie for quite a few years, and I've just never actually found a design that I really liked, but I'm intrigued by the fabric. The only design that I loved was the 2018 coffee bean design, and I didn't buy that. Long story, I've always regretted it, along with not buying the cast cover when it came out in, I think, 2016. So yeah, the ones that got away. So I think that this is just absolutely stunning. I really like birds in general, and this is swallows, and I love the sky, and I think that the white embossing of the year just looks like a cloud, and I really like the fact that the hue varies a little bit and how they're all flying in different directions, which I think is a trademark of the bow and tie series, that each design is unique, and so, you know, each individual techo cover will have a slightly different pattern, and I think that that is really cool. And it's just beautiful. And then let me show you the close-up because it's even more stunning. So it says, swallows fly in all directions across a sky blue background in our swallow's color. Depicted as birds that carry happiness to you, these symbols of luck have been woven into necktie material. So I just think that that is really beautiful. And up close, you can see like the pattern of the fabric, and you can see the intricate design of the birds, and I just love the colors and how much detail there is. And then the pièce de résistance, this is like the thing that really won my heart over, is that some of them are carrying a flower in their beaks. What? How amazing is that? So I'm super excited about this, and because each design is different, you'll never know, I guess, which of your birds will have a flower. I hope that they all do. I mean, I hope that each cover has at least one bird with a flower, but I think that that is just so cool, and I love it. So I was like, okay, that's it. That is my weeks. That's it. I'm done. But I was not done because there were more amazing things coming. So now I have this huge problem. So I haven't talked yet about the Sesame Street lineup. There were a couple of Sesame Street covers in the A6 that I didn't touch on because the Sesame Street lineup like hasn't kind of really spoken to me. Like I watched Sesame Street when I was a kid, but I somehow don't have any like really strong associations with it that, you know, like I would like to have a Sesame Street techo. But I think that this is a really nice design, and it's also the same necktie material. So if we see the close-up, I think it just looks really, really well made. It looks like a beautiful cover, and again, like the detail is really impressive on this. So yeah, Cookie Monster and Big Bird, it's cool. And it also has some Sesame Street end paper. So I think that that is also fun. So there's also a pencil board which goes with it. And this also matches the A6, one of the A6 Sesame Street covers. So I think that if you like are a big fan of Sesame Street, this is a great option. But I have other problems. So, okay, here it comes. Before I get to my second true love, I'm going to just show you this one, which I think is also a really nice design. And initially when I saw the lineup, before I'd taken everything in, I thought this was a possible contender because it's just a really nice, simple, fun, colorful design. I like the combination of blue and gold. But let me show you the constellations. Embrace the constellations. So at first glance, when I was scrolling through, like kind of trying to take everything in, I was like, I just thought that it was some kind of like struck me as a sort of messy doodle type cover. But then I looked closer at it because I was intrigued by the name, Embrace the Constellations. And then I saw how wrong I had been because look at this. This is based on a 400-year-old chart of the constellations as seen from above, as God would be looking at it. That's from the description below. I'm paraphrasing. But when I read that, I was like, this is incredible. And then when I looked closer, I could see that this is actually like a really intricately painted, drawn or painted, I'm not sure, map of the zodiac. And you can see the stars here. And I'm assuming that these are the stars that like kind of make up the constellation. And then you can see the artist's interpretation of the constellation there. And I am actually like quite into the zodiac. I mean, not like I specialize in it, but my my current daily planner, astrology, I've kind of like given a whole astrological theme with like washi and vellum, and I've been kind of getting into it recently, and I've always liked the medieval and early modern astrological charts in illuminated manuscripts. And so I think that this is just really, really cool. So this was the cover of the 2002 edition of a literary magazine. And yeah, like I said, so this is apparently the view from the eyes of God, the artist says, who sits even higher than the stars and watches them below. It's fascinating seeing the grand scale from which folks from a long time ago thought about things. And it's printed on the like kind of typical sort of textured canvas-like cover material that many of the week's covers are printed on. And then if you see a close-up here, you can see how detailed and beautiful the work is here. And you can see a couple of the signs up close, so like Libra and Cancer. I haven't worked out what all of them are yet, but I think that this would be like something really cool that would just, you know, kind of keep me engaged over the course of the year. And I really like the gold here. So yeah, now I just honestly do not know what to do, because it's between this one and the swallows, and I love them both. Look, this is a whole cover. It's just, it's stunning. So I have a policy that I can only ever have 1 week per year, because I've tried having multiple weeks for different things in previous years and it just did not work out. So I'm definitely like a 1 week only planner person, and that is a huge problem because I love them both equally. Something else I really love about this is how when the book is open, you can see these colorful edges, and I think that that is really cool because it just means that no matter what you're doing, if you have your weeks open, you're still reminded of this beautiful, colorful constellation cover. So this is a big problem, and I only have a week to decide. So yeah, these both released on the 1st, and that is a huge, huge, huge dilemma for me. So I don't know, if you have any thoughts, please let me know. If you are also experiencing the same dilemma or a different week's dilemma, because with the A5 and the A6 covers, it's really not an issue. You can just buy 2 covers as long as your bank balance allows it, it's fine. But with the weeks, like if you need to commit to one, it can be a huge problem. So again, I'm not really a fan of any of the manga covers for the weeks. And then we have the mega weeks, and I've had a mega weeks for the last 2 years, and this year I've decided that I don't need one because I didn't use all the pages this year, and I have a daily planner, and so I just really want to go with the standard weeks so that I can get the cool covers, because the mega weeks has more limited cover options. So it has the 2 sneaker weeks, which I think are nice colors this year. That's always a bit of a different color, but always solid colors. And then we've got some more of the solid colors from the standard lineup in the mega range. And then we have some weeks only covers, which were a real disappointment to me because I'm absolutely in love with this one, but the inside is leather. So that was really sad for me. And then the same with this one, the zip pull is leather on this. So that's a shame, but I will get one in either the A5 or the A6. And then we have some continued designs from last year, and then we move on to the 5-year techo, which I'm not going to be buying because I already have 3 5-year techos and I love them. So if you don't have one and you're thinking about it, I definitely am a big fan of them and would encourage you to get one. But I don't need an actual book this year. And then I was really excited when I saw that they'd released this Search and Collect cover for the 5-year techo because I love the Search and Collect button. So I bought the button last year, but I was disappointed that the cover itself is wool. So I won't be buying that. And then they have this special gift box, which I do have. This is the cover that I use for my A6 5-year techo. So I definitely recommend that. And then we move on to the accessories. So there are some really cool accessories here. And I'll just quickly show them to you. So I'm not particularly taken with any of the cover on covers with designs because I feel like these designs are all quite eye-catching and they would kind of clash with the designs that I have in mind for the weeks. And I don't ever really like the cover on covers for the A5 or the A6 because I've just never got into them. I feel like they're a bit bulky with the pocket. So, and I'm not really usually that much of a fan of stripes. So yeah, I'm not going to be buying any of these. But what I do really like is some of the pencil boards. So I like these Sesame Street pencil boards, especially this one because it's so colorful and it has all of the characters. And I really like the Cookie Monster one. I just think that's quite funny and cute. But I'm not going to buy them myself because, like, again, I feel like I don't have such a strong attachment to Sesame Street. But what I do really like is the Mother 2 covers, sorry, pencil boards. So particularly the Weeks cover. This actually reminds me of a scene from another Nintendo game, Super Mario Bros. 2, which was one of my childhood favorites. And because I've been getting into the game, the Mother 2 game, I kind of know some of the characters better now, so I think that's really cool. And I also like this one with the Mr. Saturn. So yeah, I'm thinking possibly of getting this one. Although recently I haven't been using a pencil board in my weeks at all, so I'm not sure. I also like this Astro Boy pencil board, although I am not familiar with the manga Astro Boy, and I didn't really like the A6 cover that they have, but I quite like this design, so I think that's kind of cool. It's not going in my basket though, because I have too many other things in the basket. I also like these frame stickers. They are designed for the monthly, so they fit in the monthly boxes. I assume just for the original rather than for the cousin, but I think they're sort of cool. And you can also use them in other ways as they show here. Don't have to use them on the monthly spread. And then we get to one of my last absolute favorite things, which is the 2021 Hobonichi Mother Whiteboard calendar. So there have been Hobonichi whiteboard calendars around for a few years that I have been aware of, but I've never bought one. I've never felt the need for one. But this year they brought out 2 mother designs, I believe for the first time. And I think these are so cool. And as you can see, I have a bit of a mother fixation at the moment, Mother 2 obsession. And there's this desk size one, which I think is amazing because it has all of these different Mother 2 settings. And I think it's just really colorful and cool, and I love it. So yeah, I'm kind of contemplating how I could work that one into my lineup somehow, particularly the desktop size, because I think that is just so cool and colorful. Then I like these neon bags, but I don't really have a use for one, so that is not going on my list. They're Japan only, but I think that some of the Etsy shops that sell Hobonichi products like Davao Arts and Crafts or Japanesey Shopper would probably stock them. Then I really like this design. I like the black one better. The black one is the one that is an A6 tetra cover, but it has the leather on it. So this one is kind of, I guess, like a chance to have that design, but without the leather. So I have the mermaid one, and I use it as a bag to carry my everyday carries in, my cousin, my weeks, and my Stalogy, which is my daily planner. And it's a perfect size just to fit them. So this is kind of going on my list because I really like the pattern, and it would be a sort of, yeah, nice complement to this one. And it's sort of a nice way if there's a design that you like, but either you don't like it as a tetra cover, or you don't want to buy the tetra cover because it has leather, or it's a zip around and you don't like zip arounds, all of those apply to me, then I think this is a really nice way to be able to, like, kind of, I don't know, still enjoy the design and use it in a way that kind of complements your tetras. So this is the last thing that I wanted to show you, which is the handkerchiefs that go with that cover series that I was talking about earlier. So I really, really like this blue one. And these are sold separately, so you can pick which color you like. And I think as a handkerchief, it just seems really happy and colorful to me. And I use handkerchiefs, so I think that the blue one is definitely going to go in my basket. So yes, there you have it. This is my selection of my favorites. And then as you can see here, I have a whole bunch of stuff that I favorited. And there's some other things as well that I have to add to it since last night. So I've got quite the dilemma here, because a lot of these I will just like, you know, straight up buy. I'll put them in my basket and I will order them. But I have this huge week's dilemma, and the clock is ticking, the pressure is on. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that, but I am going to devote a lot of thought to it over the next week. So I'm really curious to hear what you're interested in and what your favorites are from this lineup, because it could be that there are things that I just totally skipped over and didn't even register that, you know, somebody else really loves. And I'd be curious to hear about that, because one of my favorite things with the Hobo community is that, you know, like we all like are so passionate about sometimes the same designs and sometimes completely different designs. And I think that that is really cool, and that's what makes it so much fun. So the final thing that I didn't mention is the guidebook. So let me just go back to the accessories, because the guidebook is really awesome. So I have never bought the guidebook before, except for one year when they came out with a like kind of reduced version in English, and that's because I can barely read Japanese. So I thought like, well, I won't really be able to get the full benefit of it. But this year, they've done something really cool, because it's the 20th anniversary, that made me just think it would be worth it for this alone. They have a section where they list every single techo cover that Hobonichi has ever brought out since the very beginning. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So they've organized it by year, and I am really curious to see that, because I don't actually know what their covers looked like before like 2014. And I'm just kind of really, really curious to see what every single cover lineup that they have ever done has been. So I feel like, yeah, it's worth it just for that alone. But then there's so much else that's interesting in this. Like they've done interviews with people, you know, like kind of from all different walks of life, and they check in with 10 users who've been featured in previous guidebooks. So that's a section called Masters of the Ages. And also they all obviously have the full catalog of the 2021 lineup. So I just think that this would be really cool, if only for the pictures, but I've also been feeling like, okay, I have to like really learn enough Japanese to be able to read this. So like crash course in reading Japanese, emergency, because I need this guidebook. So yeah, that is where things stand at the moment. And I will be really interested to hear what your thoughts are on this lineup. And, you know, like what your favorites are, what you're considering, and just, you know, what we are all going to do over the course of the next week before the actual ordering begins. So I will definitely be doing a haul when I have received my order, and I'll let you know what I've ordered. And I'm just really, really, really excited about this, and I am sure that you are too. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.